above paragraph, are we at that paragraph? The above paragraph deals with the ultimate reality. In Buddhism, each word is very important. So if you understand each word deeply, then it helps you understand Buddhism. In Buddhism, it's same whether it's Sanskrit and also similar to and also same as Chinese. And even Chinese, they try very hard to get in hold of the philosophy behind Sanskrit. Each word embodies very deep philosophy of Buddhism, and so depending on your philosophical depth, you can understand. So that's why even the words are difficult, and at times you also change the words to that which we use nowadays, depending on the time frame. And some people well, if I say sometimes if you input different words, some people also tend to understand it as different meaning. In that regard, if you do wrong, then if you don't do it properly, then you could also find yourself difficult to do the actual practice. But understanding the words is very important. The above line deals with the ultimate truth, ultimate reality. In the Lotus Sutra, they use the word reality, the form that doesn't have any lie, the reality that doesn't have any lies. And in many of the Abhidharmas, it's written as the truthness. So the words, there's no difference in the contents, but depending on the time, depending on the era, the contents are, the wordings are quite different. And so what is the reality here? They are something which is fake or something which is something that we do not see the form of obsession. And if we get rid of the greediness and ego, and when we reflect the society, everything that exists in this world, they don't have a property that is eternal or also is on their own. Everything comes and goes with the relations. And here, when we do Vipassana, well, Vipassana is difficult to understand. But what is Vipassana here? Everything, they all mention about the voidness. So everything doesn't have its own property, but it was a result of dependent arising. And they talk about the reality that they see as it's being reflected. So it's all about the space. So when we say we are here, because of our greediness, we look for a place to depend on. We try to look for a target of our greediness or desire. Because I am here, we look for the place of our obsession. But then, if we are absent, or if if it's the absence of self, then we have nowhere to be greedy about. And knowing that is the prajna paramita. If I am not there, because it's absence of self, the death and birth is also not there. Because I am not there, the object of my greediness also disappears. With my existence, because there's something that I feel obsessed about, and while looking for the object of my obsession, it feels like we feel the shadow of our existence. So in other words, through the husband, we also have the fake concept or the wrong concept of a wife, where that also exists because there is existence of a husband. But then, if you also look at it in other way, we also say because there's obsession for myself, there's also obsession for my husband, and also in order to maintain or continue such a relation, there's husband of mine that which is target of my obsession. Life becomes so. But then, what is nirvana? Nirvana is double checking that I don't exist, and also the point of dependence. It's once again realizing that there is no point of dependence in our life. By having a dependence and by having dependence, because I exist and I also need a place for me to depend on, looking for the place. If you realize that I don't exist, then you also realize that there is no point for you to be obsessed with finding a place for you to depend on. So when we say you have become Buddha, so when we say you have become Buddha, it also refers to the fact that there is no point to rely on, even as big as a strand of a thread. And also there are some people who rely on God, but then even the God, those people who believe in totemism or shamanism and also believe in the ancestral God, and they are also worse. It's better to believe in rice or even sweet potato. At least they fill your stomach. But the other things, even if you try very hard to catch them, you cannot even get hold of them. But instead, if you eat sweet potato, you'll be full at least for a day. Where especially the point of dependence, because I don't exist. There's no point to rely on. If I exist, if I am eternal, then I would believe in myself. But myself do not have a property that is forever. So, because I am not eternal, and not only me, but since everything that exists in this world is the same, we just depend on others to exist. And when we depend on others to exist, we depend on others. Do you understand? Do you really? Well, we may be. Where the sun is shining directly to my eyes. Well, we still have many months to come. It seems like the sun is right on my head. So, but still, people living in this commonwealth, they still believe that I exist, and because I exist, also the point, they still believe that there is a point that I need to be obsessed about. And also while looking at the point of dependence, we assume that we exist. Because we have a son, we believe that we are also mothers. And And so you go around doing many things. And also, if you cannot bear a baby, you feel very bad about it because you cannot become mother and you misunderstand. But then having son, having children, bringing them out to this world, what is it? So
뭐냐면 아이고 우리 아들이 뭐 이번에 뭐 어쩌고 저쩌고 그래서 하는 사람은 그 사람은 대단한 그
well, if you talk about your son, and also if you talk about many things that happen, that's because you feel very void, and so you're trying to check yourself using your son.
이제 그 나는 조금 뭐 자부심이라 있다 그러면 아들이 출가해서
But if you say you have a pride, well, maybe if your son became a monk and has attained nirvana, then maybe it is something for you to boast about. But becoming a president, well, I could easily tell small kids that do not become president. You'll have to ask people for many things. It seems like if you become president, you should look greater. But once you become president, it looks like you become more petty. We also have a saying that if you do not say anything when everyone is talking, then no one will assume that you don't know. Seems like you might know or you don't know, and they would just make their own assumption. But if you try to answer something, then people would make judgments on your knowledge, and so. And also, there are many times when I feel that we should just keep our mouths closed. And also, at times, when you go somewhere and if you feel that you don't belong to the place, then it's better for you to close your mouth. If you open your mouth for no use, then there could be times when you don't even gain anything from it. So, in ultimate term, it is not something that we can discriminate or identify the object. So if we study it from the point of view of voidness, existence itself is just a shadow. Depending on the karma, we exist for a short period of time. Depending on karma, we just have them momentarily and they disappear. And so when we make an observation, look at it like a dream. How vain it is after you wake up. But at times you come to me and say, oh, I had a dream yesterday and I dreamt of pig, and you ask if you would be lucky today. But then you just dream of pig. It's nothing special. How can you try to attain luck? But after you dream of pig, maybe you would get some pork, and some said they had a dream of dung. Well, while living in this world, even if you see like a full truck of gold thrown out in front of you, look at it just like a dream. And you will only be a saint if you look at it and do not give much value about it. But then if you talk about your dream that you dreamt of dung, then what much can be said about it? You yourself being here itself is a dream. Even in these thousands of universe, even if in these thousands of universe you have filled with gold, it is still a dream. Even now, don't you think that it's a dream? What is it? If you wake up from your dream and if you reduce it to 2 hours, it is just wake up from the dream. The life that we live right now and waking up from it itself is very like very futile. It's just like lightning. It's just like water bubble. If you compare it to the time of universe, Well, even the universe, when it goes through a transformation, Buddha said it is just an instant. The universe being created and vanishing away, it itself is just a fraction of time. But then our life being born and dying, it is even lesser.
사람을 보면 얼마나 와, 쟤들은 천상의 수명이 많아.
Well, as I said before,
걔들 하루 산다고 그러면 말이야. 우리가 100년 살면 쟤들보다 36,500년.
the mayfly. If the mayfly compares your life to ours, then we are living, like 30,000 days more. So for them, it would be like our life would be uncountable, our days would be uncountable. But then what do we think? We think that 80 years has passed away just like a dream. They said life in heaven is just like that. So a day for them is our lifetime. And so they live every day, and they lived about they live 400 of years and they pass away. But for them, it is also like a dream for them. And during that time, they never even had to blow their nose. But then afterwards, they have to blow their nose, and they also have to wash their face, and sometimes they have to do many other daily chores which they never had to do. And even the clothes that they used to wear, it starts to wear off. The clothes wear off. And when they try to get up, even if they don't have the body, they would feel the pain in their bones. So if you go to heaven hell once, then it is no longer a dream. If you go to a very bad or serious hell, then it's just that the thought which occurred to you momentarily, it would come and disappear. In a day, you die 10,000 times, you're reborn 10,000 times. And you have repeated that for so many years. So if you count it from their time, then they are being they repeat death and birth like millions of times. But all those kind of things, they are just a dream. And if you come to know that, then even if you put them to hell, for that person, it is no longer a hell.
그런 지장보살이나 이런 분들은 십지보살인데 가서 지옥에 가면 그건 진옥이 돼 버려.
For bodhisattvas, even if you put them to hell, they become like a gem in the hell. Like if you put the Kritigarbha, he becomes like a gem in the hell. So because everything is started from our heart, happens. So even in Prajnaparamita, in the same time frame, they mention about this. There is no six senses objects. So there's no form, there's no sound, there's no smell, there's no taste, there's no touch. Also, so before our body was formed, but if we go into voidness, then there is no way for us to have taste or even scent. Likewise, in the ultimate term, it is not something that we can find. In the ultimate meaning, if the object doesn't exist, then there is also no meaning to talk about eternity or even voidness. So if you look at it from time frame of voidness, then if you look at it from time frame when everything is disappear and when we talk about everything is void, here the void is because as per the dependent arising, it's showing the form, so we feel that it is void. But
그것이 본질적으로 들어가 버리면 그 무상하다는 소리가
But if you look at it, if you study it in its essential form, then then even the eternity or even the voidness here is not there, is not present. Ultimately, the meeting or including all these things, there is no actual form to it. So although we say seeing, sight, the sight, touch, sense, smelling, and feeling, instead of all of them,
의식하고 칠식 말라식하고 탈식 아래야식
even
이것도
even if we talk about all those five, all these senses,
아니란 말이에요.
if you ask if they are our property, that is not so. It is just a seed of going through samsara, but they also go through changes. It does not have characteristics that is eternal. So because of that, even the five skandhas.
조견
So in Pranya Paramita,
온조차도 공한 것이
even the six senses is void. Even they don't have their own property. So it's not. There's no need even to talk about other things. Even I, which exists now, it doesn't have its own property or characteristics. So what's the point of talking others? You understand?
요걸 자꾸 이제 그 들어가 요 깊이 들어가서
We have to go into detail, and
이 참선을 하고 연부를 하고 경을
if all of us, we recite mantra, we do meditation, we study sutras, and we also pray, and we also repent, and when
그 뭔가
all the karma disappears, we still assume that there is something.
착을 하고 그게 매달
And while assuming that there is something, we feel obsessed about it, and we also try to hold on to it. But if our greediness disappears, then the place for us to hold on to disappears. We will not try to hold on to a rope that's rotten already. And even if a new rope comes down to save us, we will not try to hold on to it. That's why, think about it. Even if that messenger tries to come, even if he tries to come and catch you, he cannot hold you because you're not there, because you're not free from coming and going. Then how would he try to drag you? If you have to try not to go, then only he will try to take you. Isn't that so? As I said, if you don't have money, the people who doesn't have money, they will not even try to close your house.
놔두고 가려고 그러면 이거 장구가
Where sometimes when people donate money to me to buy some Buddhist things, if they give me money, then I wonder, do I have to lock the house? Do I have to lock the room? Because there's something that doesn't normally happen to me, so it confuses me. In olden time, the grandchild asked the grandchild asked the grandfather, when you sleep, do you put your mustache in your mouth or do you put it outside your mouth? And the grandfather said he will check the night and he will let his grandson know. And then from that moment, he felt very uncomfortable, or he was very conscious about his mustache. So when he tried to sleep, he felt the mustache was bothering him. And so when the grandchild asked, do you put it and do you sleep, or do you sleep taking it out? And his grandfather asked, well, even I am not very sure.
내가 알아. 딱 지나가면서 뭐 저 집에는 돈
Well, I know. While passing by a house, I know that house has money. Why is it so? Because it's written in the house that be careful of the strong dog. Also, some people has written be careful of the CCTV. And also some people close the outer door and also close the inner door. And those places that have money, even the thieves would know.
대번 알지. 근데 에? 그 대번 안단 말이고 나 돈 있어 그 얘기 하잖아.
Even the thieves would know very soon. It's almost like you're telling them that you have money. In this world,
채운 거 봤어?
have you ever seen a beggar locking his house?
거지 집에 자물도 안 하고 왜냐면 거지 같은 거
In the house of a beggar, they don't lock their house. Because the house is so poor, there's nothing for you or them to take away.
자물통 채운 집은 있다 그런.
So that's why the houses with lock, it means you have something in the house.
그래서 그런 사람이 청빈하게 살면
So that's why if a person lives without anything to hide, they would open their house, open their doors, and leave. So that's why in the monasteries there's no gate and there's no doors. There's no doors that's closed. So the monasteries nowadays, which is closed, this is between you and me, but they have money inside.
그러면 잠가놔야 돼. 저녁으로 잠가고.
If you have money, then you have to close it. And even if a thief comes, well, you know how intelligent or how intelligent they are. The dogs which checks the drugs, where they are about like 10,000 times better than us.
냄새를 맡아.
A thief smells money about 10,000 times better than us.
전에 여기 불전함에
So
자꾸 뭐가
before, they said in this donation box, there was someone who was stealing money. Here, because we kept it here,
껌을 씹고 와가지고 껌도 비싼
they would chew gum and that too the spearmint gum, and they put it at the end of the tip of the stick and try and get the money. And they're not able to see if there's money inside. If they're not able to see, they would light up the match and throw it inside to see, which could cause fire. And in Saksham Monastery, we don't have so much money. Also, there is not many people who donate money in this box too. And so I told them to just open the lock. If they want to take it, if they want to take about like tens of dollars, they can take. It's better than having fire here. So I told them to keep it open.
전에 미국 놈들 그뭐 연준은행인가 연방 뭐 준비은행인가 거기에 밑에 뭐 지하 창고.
And also in America, in the Federal Bank, they went to steal money at the basement of the Federal Bank. And I assume that if the country becomes a little weak, then there will be like thousands of people, or even everyone will try to steal money from America. Although they say they will not steal it, that's a lie, because those who know about it, they'll be the first one to come and try to steal it. Do you know who is your greatest enemy? It's your husband.
딱 이혼하세 그러면 반 나누세 그래.
If you want divorce, the first thing they will say is share it into half. Well, they will not even try to share it to half. If you want to share it into half, then they would try to come up with any sort of excuse to give you less. And the second greatest thief is to a mother, it is son, and to a daughter, to a father, it is daughter.
그저 엄마들은
Well, mothers.
본인 자식인데 그러니까 도둑은 욕심이 이제 그렇지. 근데 이제
although it is your child, well, people who are going to steal it from you are they? So, so to a son, even if you borrow the money, you cannot even get interest, and sometimes they don't even pay you back the actual amount. I don't understand why you do that kind of business. You brought them out to this world, you fed them, you sent them to school, got them married, and even if you did everything for them, the best that they do is on your birthday they will send a flower, and you feel so grateful about it, and the interest they get it from all this behavior is so much. I don't know how much you owe them so that you are doing all that thing. And fathers, even you all, you have also made use of your father like that, right? My father, this and that, and then your father is not even able to say anything, but your father would instead say, okay. And that too, you smile in front of your father, and if you say a few things, then your father cannot even say no. Didn't you do that to your father? Seems like you don't. He doesn't owe you so much. Therefore, even the true form doesn't have its form, but it is just a property of a phenomenon. Here, the true form also is another word used for voidness. And if we say this, then some people also say, let's live our life believing in voidness. But how can you live your life believing in voidness? I went to some place and they said they live on believing in circle. Not the Walmart. Even if you don't talk about it much, they already know what it implies. They kept everything as circle there. And also, they say the earth is round, but earth is also not round in its actual form. Overall, it is round, but we also have like a Himalaya, which is about like 8,000 meters above sea level, so it is also protruding at some point. Because of the gravity, it goes round, but if it is not round, even the seawater makes its way to this direction and that direction, and even the water moves from here to there because of the strength of the moon. Isn't that so? If when the moon is closer, or if the earth is a little softer, because of the strength of the gravity, sometimes you also have the volcanic eruptions. So before a monk said, even voidness is void, and also the voidness of the voidness is also void. When we say it's void, doesn't mean the voidness exists. It means there's no form. And before, someone also said, he said it seems like he's able to practice well nowadays, and I asked him what's his hidden secret, because I was not able to do it well. And he said when he observed the voidness, he really saw something. And I thought he was, and I felt bad about it because he was lying about it. And he was not even ashamed to lie. If there is voidness inside, then it is not actually void. We are not talking about a football ball. If there is a voidness, then there's no void. What do we refer here? Without any property, it doesn't have any property that's eternal, and we call it void when we have gathered together as per the relation. So when we say it's like the voidness, it's like this emptiness, it is a relative metaphor used to explain it, but doesn't mean it is actually it's actually the emptiness out in the sphere.
이게 그러니까
So if you rely on voidness, and if you rely on something that is not void, well, there's no need to rely on this. Is there anything that you need to be relying at? What about you? Is your father worth relying on or depending on?
뭐라고? 나이 들면 진옥선 죽고 난 뒤에 잘났다. 예, 한솥밥에 밥을 먹어. 한솥에 밥을 먹어도.
Even if you eat food from the same bowl, everyone has a different root and different characteristics. Even your family, when you ask them to come, they don't want to come, right? Why didn't you give a little hard time to your daughter-in-law? So everyone has a different root, and because of the different root, well, it's quite weird. If you do this sort of practice, if you have the if you have the patience to endure my teaching for about 20 years, then all of you has the potential to be a good person or to achieve what you desire. Sometimes I think, oh, you guys are all great. Why is it so? Because I don't allow anything that is evil or that is wrong. But you still hope that you want me to pray that your children would do something good or become better. And day after tomorrow we still have some tests, and in all other monasteries they have some special prayers to get good result. But in our monastery they don't really do anything. In other monasteries they also sell few good deeds as like a totem, but in our monastery we don't do anything. And someone was going in a hurry, and I asked that person, can you also teach me how to do that properly? And they say, oh, isn't it okay if I just recite the sutras? And when I asked, oh, if we do that, will the grade become better? And the person was replying me that, oh, everyone was doing that. And I asked them, where is it written in the sutras? And the person answered back that she didn't see it. Well, I said, I think there will be more difficult than seeing or looking for a God in Christianity. But still, everyone else does it. So I asked a person, if everyone is going through diarrhea, having diarrhea problem, are you also going to have the problem? And the person was saying, even in the monasteries, they have to pray at the time of the big test, final test, and they can survive until beginning of the year with the money they have earned. But that too, although we cheat people, we should have our limits. And I also do cheat people at times. Do you know how I do? Well, the teachings are not cheating. What is the cheating that's quite acceptable that I do? Well, even that thing doesn't even make sense. Telling grandmothers that they would live for a long time if they do this, then that's like a mentally sick person. There's one thing. Well, people who make porcelain, if they know that the porcelain is wrong and they hit that thing, that is actually 사기. And 사기 in Korean means cheating. So it's just a word play.
여러분들이 아마 본문을 들을 때 가슴이 뜨끔뜨끔할 때가 꽉 찼을 거야.
I'm sure that when you listen to the teaching, there are moments that you feel that you sometimes feel bad about what you have done before. I'm sure, but I'm still trying to talk to you in a soft way. I'm sure that there will be time when you want to get up, while even when you're sleeping, when you think about things I said. If you feel that you are not studying hard, then don't you see me in your dream? Isn't it that I'm going to be scolded by Venerable Jinok? And I'm sure that you see me in your dreams if you don't study hard, because I keep scolding you. But even that thing, but if you still pay, if you are still enduring all these things, if you're still listening to all the things that I say, I can see that you still have very good deed with you. So don't do many other things which are wrong, and just keep on doing what you're doing now. Or else there's no point for us to meet, and there's no point for us to carry on with our studies. You too, you don't even know your husband well, and your husband also doesn't know you well. It's just that out of your own greediness, you are looking at your husband, and your husband is also looking at you. I have double-checked that already. At the place of the husband's funeral, when I saw the wives dying, at the time that they were passing away, the question that they asked the dead husband was, "What am I going to do? What am I going to do?" And that was a question they were asking in front of a dead person. But you have to ask yourself, the person has died out of his will, and how can the person even care about the future lives of his wife? So your husband is just the object of your greediness. And imagine if your husband doesn't earn money, it doesn't bring money home, then you will feel angry about your husband. And those of you who say you are not greedy about your husband, then even if your husband doesn't even earn money, you don't actually care. And even if your husband doesn't come home, you don't really care. And also sometimes a husband just comes home and just changes clothes, puts the laundry, and walk off. Well, it seems like Jim Mi-kyung lived with her husband for about 10 years, and I thought she is also quite a patient person. So don't think about anything else. You have to keep praying, and you have to keep meditating and read the sutras. Again and again, you have to try to wake up from the dream. Don't try to think of anything else. Those things which doesn't help you in your happiness, you have to wake up from them. When the thing of our obsession disappears, then we fall into depression and we also suffer. But that is actually nothing. If you hit your head at a wall, and if you see the stars, well, that happened because of your sickness, but it doesn't mean that there's actually stars there. So whether it is a husband or wife, they're just passing away at their own time, and so do I. I also go at my own time.
방거사도
You have
그랬다가
to
그냥
do it
따라오나
just
했는데
like Pangosa, and he
아버지가
had a
늦게 나갈
daughter.
때는 딸하고 엄마하고 밑에서 그 농사 지어서 곡식 올려주고
And so
또
when
수업
father
등하사 가면서 했어. 그 공부가 깊어.
when father went to study,
마누라도 깨달았어.
the daughter and wife would do farming and send it. Send the food and so that he could study, and so as the wife and the daughter, so all of them they have attained nirvana. And it seems like the daughter was going to have the funeral of the father, and the daughter thought maybe it's better to maybe it would make it happier that my father does my own funeral. And so when he and so she when her father was meditating, she said that there is a tiger here, and so when her father came out, she to chase after the tiger, she decided to sit and pass away, and father realized that she wants him to do her funeral. And the father sometimes his friend comes to meet him, and so a day before his death, he wrote a letter to his friend that I'm really sorry, but you'll have to do my funeral or have to burn my body. And so and also please tell my wife about what happened. So they were free from death. So when mother came up, they realized the daughter died and went and the cremation was already done, so as the father. And so mother said, you could have told me about what's going to happen. And so the mother said, and she died holding on to the plow. So there's no reason for her to stay longer. And so the friend had to cremate the body of his friend's wife too. Our life should happen that way. But if you say, well, my husband died, how am I going to live? What kind of attitude is that? And so before, one person came and that person was traumatized. And she said she really hated her husband who passed away. When he was alive, he only gave me hard time, and when he passed away, he didn't even leave me any money or any asset. And so she hated him even when he was with him, and also when he passed away. So but even in military, if you pass away, they promote you one rank, and even if you even if it's really bad in front of a person who is dead, even the laws of a country, even if you want to sue them, how can you sue the dead person? And no matter how many witnesses you have, it doesn't do anything. It's just like the end. The only person who made fuss about a person who is dead is only the kings in Joseon dynasty. They even massacre people who is already dead. Well, that is a very bad thing. So even if you have some enemies, after that you should send them flowers. You have to send flowers. They don't send.
진여의 실체가 없는 현상의 한 속성일 뿐이다. 참 뭐 그냥 말 다 했어.
It's just a property that doesn't have the true form. Even the true form doesn't have any form, and it is just a property of a phenomenon. It's a really good saying. We depend on it as a method.
부처님께서는 그냥 이걸 억지로 하나
So Buddha has just made a new formula about this, isn't it? It is a formula.
공식 세워놓은 게 공식에 집착을 하면 안 된다고. 공식은 알면 되는 게. 그래서
But you should not be obsessed with the formula, but you just have to know the formula. And if you only have the proper understanding, then you can proceed with your own practice. The essence is that. And so do not think that there's nothing beyond nothing other than this. So do not say things like without the proper concentration, you cannot do any meditation. So it doesn't make sense. All of them are just different methods of practice that's been suggested. So all of them is possible.
그러니까 석천사 이 법회를 보는 사람들은
So those people who watch the teaching, Sakchunsa teaching,
미안하지만 지금 몇 살이요?
I'm sorry to say, but how old are you?
그건 그래도 꼭배기나 살겠네.
37. Well, you still have like twice the years that you live.
50 넘은 사람은 100살까지 살 자신 있어?
Where there are not many people who'd live their life double the life that they live so far. Are you confident that you'll be able to live until you're 100 years old? What if you have Alzheimer in between?
이번에 향이라 36이니까 생각이 나는 게 향이라며
Oh, I remember. This time at Hyangyeram, they were building something on the Turtle Head. So they were discussing with the state, with the and they with the army, and they looked like is a military. So when the major and all they came and spoke, they were so stiff. They were really military people. And so I said, the young people in Korea, I thought that because we still have those kind of very courageous people, our country would survive because they didn't have the political color, but they thought because they already got the order from above, they have to follow it. And so I thought what they are trying to do is correct. And they are also happy because we approve what they think. But when you also listen how they talk, they're very stiff. They're just like people who are standing with their guns.
그렇지 영광급들 밑에 뭐 부하가 말이야. 부하가 뭐 1000명, 1500명 다 넘어가는 사람들이니까.
Well, should be because there are people who has about like more than 1,000 people below them with them. Where there are captains and also there are majors. So I also understand the military attitude, but we have only about like 60,000 military people. But then the rest of them are also civilians. And when military people are also talking to civilians, they should also get a little adapted to the civilian way of talking, and also they should also live like other people. And on top of that, I'm also a monk, and especially I don't have any boundaries with me. And so if the military people says the right thing, then I'm going to stick with the military, depending on depending on depending on the place that they say the right thing, I will stick with them. So I told them to speak only the right thing.
그러니까 36세 대령은
So at age of 36, when it is a captain,
공부 착착하게 하라 그 말입니다.
he was doing his job very well, and he was also studying very hard. So it also means since you're only 36, you should also try to study hard.
그때는 다른 게 창창하면 안 돼.
I'm asking you to study hard. At that time, if other things are bright, it's not okay. If you're about 36, 38, you should not say that, oh, you danced the whole night and you were not tired the next morning. That is not okay.
그러면 그 웬일이야? 전부 다 젊음을 다 어디다 다 날려버리고 안 돼.
Then that's everything will just go to vain. You should not throw away your youth in that way. So the more you age,
독일제 기계라도 안 돼.
this machine, even if it's German made, it will not survive.
그냥 물어본
Because the machines, they will stop working. And even the knees, you will have problems, and even your back, you will have problems. And your head, even if you try to think of many things every day, you will still forget them.
까먹으면 껍데기도 안 남아서 껍데기라도 보고 유출을 할 건데 껍데기도 안 남았어.
Well, if you forget from your memory, then you will not even have many things left to remember.
방 돌아서면 어떤 때는 돌아서기 전에도 까먹어 버린다니까.
And sometimes, even before you turn around, you forget what you heard. And also, when you look at the mirror, even if you get buttocks, you still see the wrinkles. And even your teeth, you are surviving on implants. And later, you are going to lose them too, and you're going to survive on the fake teeth. And sometimes you have to pull them out and look at the mirror, and that is also something that's very disturbing. And you cannot even hear well. And then your grandchildren will say, grandmother, the TV is too loud. And you'll be like, what? The TV is too loud.
할머니 이만큼 해 그러면 테레비 소리 낮추고 나면 할머니 들리지 않아.
And once you reduce the volume, you cannot even hear.
껍데기 끼야지 멀리 보려고.
And your eyes, when you try to see close, you have to wear the magnifying glass. And if you want to see far, you just have to wear a glass. And your limbs are also not moving well. And you have to carry your phone, but you're carrying the remote control. And even your phone, you put in the fridge.
그러니까 37에 열심히 하라니까. 안 된다니까.
Since it's all right saying you should study hard when you are young, if you become old, then you are just surviving on the things that you have done before. But if you don't do when you are young, it doesn't work out well because it is not developed into a habit. It will be good if the young people study hard, but those young people, they have to go to see maple leaves in autumn, but they also walk around well with 2 legs, but now that they have 4 wheels, they even walk better. Sometimes when I call, they're like, where are you? And they're like, Gangwon area. And when I ask, when did you go? They say in the morning, but they already have reached so far. Everything is too fast now. Even the KTX is too fast, and even the highway is too. Even the highway, it is so well built that we fear Korea is too small, and you can go so far away in just a day. And even if we unite our country with North Korea, well, if we leave early in the morning, I believe we can we can visit all places in a day and come back, and it will still be 7 o'clock in the night. So I'm telling you not to do that kind of thing, but you should study instead. So even if you go to see the scenery, well, you can see the behind the Sakcha Monastery, the maple leaves is so beautiful. And with that, you should just let go of the maple leaf for this year, and you have to practice your meditation and also your studies. And also, just because you go to see maple leaves, your sufferings are not going to disappear.
죽자 살자 해야지.
You will have to do as hard as you are trying to survive,
기도하고 공양 올리고
praying and also meditating, offering, and also reciting sutras. You have to do it every day. All these things are methods to retain your mental stability and also to improve yourself. So the more you do it, you become more comfortable. But on the other side, you study like halfway, and if you do many other things, like the other half is doing many other things, then there will be no improvement. Well, when we cook, if we put many other things, it doesn't really taste great. In the end, you put vinegar, and it only would taste of vinegar. And so, people who doesn't know how to cook, they put too much vinegar, and or else they put something very spicy. So we say we have ruined something. Well, it means when it's not tasty, we have ruined something. Just like we ruin things. But if you practice a little, and if you forget, and if you drink, and if you are again, if you're drunk and you forget, then you're ruining all these things too. You have to keep doing it. And also, when I ask you to do continuously, we say, Venerable Jinok, day after tomorrow I'm going for a trip. Can't we do it the whole thing today? And then I say, for your trip, why don't you eat 4 days meal at a time and leave? Well, you have to reduce those things little by little. And while reducing them, you have to study slowly. You have to keep studying and accumulate the studies. Then only it will work out. I feel very bad about the Korean Buddhism. That's why I keep repeating it. But if you only pray for your virtue or your deeds, then there will be no use at all. There will be no benefits at all. No matter how much I think about it, no matter how much I try to look it up in sutras, I cannot find it. And I know that there will be no way out for this, but people only waste their energy on this. In England, on a TV program, in one of the Catholic church, they had some interview, and there were only about like 30 people, and the priest was a grandfather. And the question was, why don't young people come and it's only old people? What do you think is the cause for it? And the priest answered, it's a very difficult question. I don't know what to answer to this, but generally, with the sacrifice of Jesus, and if those things has been practiced, then there will be no way that such thing would happen. There will be no way that such things would happen. Even there, finally, even if they say they will be saved, all the people that they have built the Catholic Church, they sell things. They sell things after cheating, and with the cheating that they have done, they also build many things. So it is not it's not long before that they realize that they have been fooled. So a saint, even you should not underestimate, or you should not
대장부라는 것은
uh,
대장부를 여자다.
well, you should not depreciate
그렇지 않아.
or humble yourself as a woman.
좀 더 공부를 해야 된다 그 얘기지.
Well, normally women has a little more
왜? 끈적끈적
emotions, so they have to try a little harder because for women they have something sticky with them too, because they bear children and they give birth to children. This sticky thing in this life doesn't really go off easily, and because of that they could cause a little more problem, but in terms of practice there will be no difference between men and women.
그래서 여러분이 나는 자꾸 이 얘기를 해나가면서 이게 공부라는 얘기야.
So, for me, even while talking about such things, the essence of it, or the reason why I keep talking about it, is to encourage you to study. Even at home, you have to listen to the teachings well, and even the sutras. If you keep reading them, then you will gradually understand. There will come a moment when your greediness just disappear. There will come a moment when you realize that there's something going on. But those people whose karma is very strong, those of you who cannot stop drinking or listen to the teaching because of this and that, even for them, then if you're not able to let them go, then you just die like that way. I had an uncle, and he used to go out to the sea. He was a sailor, but when he was out in the boat, he used to drink too. You know this big those big glass of those big bottles of soju, 25% alcohol. Well, it's also difficult. He would pour it into a big mug or bowl, and he would just drink it in a gulp, and he would lick his finger. He would not even eat the rice wine, but he would only eat soju. He would only drink soju. And I was standing in the bus stop waiting for bus to go to school. And we normally go to school in the morning, right? And that uncle, the uncle went to a shop to drink, and he was walking on the side of a paddy field, and he was walking very closely, but he still would not fall, and it happened that he fell from his head down to the farm, but I thought he would be able to wake himself up from the rice paddy, but he could not get up. So I threw my bag and I ran to people. With the shoe I wore, which was quite precious at the time, I ran to the rice field, and I thought he would be very happy. So I tried my best to pull him, but I could just pull him right away. It looked like he's not even like some 30 kgs. He was even lighter than the rice, one sack of rice. Normally, it's difficult for children to lift heavy people, and so I took him home, and I tried to go to school, and I even lost my shoes. And I went after 2 hours. I went after like 2 hours of school has started, and at the time of his death, well, after that, after like 2 months after that, he died. And for him, he could not eat any porridge, he could not eat any rice, but he could only drink soju. But if you think about it now, you think that, well, his karma was so strong with soju. Until his death, he could not eat grains for a year. But only thing that he could swallow was soju. And no matter how much people asked him to stop it, he could not quit. And my auntie, well, she speaks very slowly. And she was like, well, even if he dies or not, just give him something that he can swallow. And he passed away when he was 40 something. So our habit, we do it until the time of our death. Letting go of the wrong habits and improving ourselves itself is a practice. There's no need to look at other people's picture. Don't doze off. Even if there are thousands of people in front of me, I can see that people are dozing off. So even if you have aged yourself, but I can still make out that you are sleeping. Oh, are you not sleeping? So we wake up like this, do not sleep, like that, from the dream. Because we are in the dream right now, we are thinking the wrong things, but we think this is our life. But if we let this go, if we live from this, then it's not the answer that you feel so futile about it and there will be no way to go on. But then the great delight would come. So what is the great delight here? Your life without suffering, with great wisdom, will approach you. But then, because of the wrong notions given from the Western philosophy, we are not Western philosophy. Even the Western philosophy here, it is just a metaphor that's used in India. Even nirvana or even heaven, even the West nirvana, it is just a metaphor. So with this body and also this space, and also myself with 5 skandhas apart from it, we are not actually apart from it. We are with it. All the people that say we can leave this is all great cheaters. We can do it now, and it's with us now. And it is something that we can do even now, but it is not something that we can do anywhere else. So you should have some more aspiration, and you have to try to study. So we have to feel that yesterday was different, tomorrow is different, and also last year and this year is different. So there should come a time when we would feel something and our agony will disappear one fine day. Do you understand? Do you practice hard or not? Why are you not able to answer? Do you study hard or not? Well, if I measure with the temperature, if I measure your temperature, I know if you study hard or not. Don't tell me that you will do hard. Are you doing it or not? Those petty things, please let them go a little. The petty things, let them go. You can still survive without kimchi.
그래서 이게 그 불법이 살아나고 이제 여러분이 이익이 되고 하는 것은 정진을
So,
통하지 않고서는
if the
불가능한 일이야.
with the teaching influencing you, and also when your heart gets deepened with Buddha's teaching, it only happens because of your change, but it doesn't really happen if there's no change from your side. So you have to spend your time to read the sutras and also study, and you should also prostrate, repenting, and you have to do them without any rest. And amongst them, one fine day, you can feel that your afflictions or pain will disappear, and there will come your freedom. As much as you have given up, you'll be free from it.
이것이 핵심입니다. 그러나 지금까지 내가 한 얘기의 핵심입니다.
It's written that this is the essence. So what I have spoken so far is the essence. Even the city hall teaching,
왜냐하면 그거는 이제
you should come and listen, because that's about the method to do it.
예경부터 시작해서 나중에 이제 참선하는 것까지
Starting from the prayer practice to the actual practice,
한 1년에 걸쳐서 하면 다 할 거예요.
in about, I think we will be able to complete that in a year.
이렇게 이제 알 수 있게끔.
So you have to know that that's the way to practice.
그렇게 하면 또 산만한 생각하면서 아이고 그때 또
And if you do that, then you could also be distracted, saying that you have some dinner meeting. Why is it so? There are 30 days in a month, and you leave out 29 days, and you decide to go for your dinner on especially that day. Well, if you say your mother passed away that day, then well, it's a different thing because we cannot control death. But going out for dinner, there's something that you can control.
잘못하면 현상의 실체에 본래 성품이 없는 것을 보면서도 궁극적으로는 뭔가 실체가 있다고 오해할 위험성이 있습니다. 그러니까 대상을 보면서
There's also a chance that we would misunderstand that there is a true form for something, but we actually know that there is no actual form or property. We know that there is nothing, but we still believe that there is a creator, there is something. But inside there is something called spirit. And
우리가 생각해봐. 내가 주먹으로 한 대
well, think about it.
귀신이 한 대 때리는 게 아프겠어.
Will it hurt if I punch you or if the ghost punches you? You cannot think even that one. You cannot make out even from that one. Well, I can punch quite hard. So if I punch you once, it would hurt. Or do you think if the ghost punches you, it will hurt more? If I punch you, that's going to hurt more. Well, even the people who does martial competition, I've never heard people who say they have done their training with a ghost. But instead, nowadays all the people who say that because they've been possessed by a ghost or they've seen the ghost, but rather than the ghost, people who are alive now, they influence harder. But even that is a very futile thing. So finally, if I say in a very brief manner, those people who play with ghosts, they're actually like the ghost.
그러니까 실제로 대상이 전부 다 실체가 없이
So
공성인 것을
in
갖다가
reality,
그거는 이해를 한다 그러면서
all the objects doesn't have a form and they are all void. Although we understand them, we still believe that there's something with me or there's something in me. It's very easy to misunderstand like that. But in this world, there's no special feature at all. You have to know that too. There's nothing that is special. Everything is same, and everything lives in everyone lives in this common world. So in this world, there's nothing that the world is not segregated into two parts. So one has eternity, the other one doesn't have eternity. But everything is going to end. Everyone or everything has been formed by the relations and also going to disappear with the relations. Even the earth, we came into being, but we are also going to disappear. And even the sun and even the planet, we have just set the altitude and also the latitude. That's why we can say it stays in the place, but that's actually not true too.
지금 우리가 이게
And even up and down.
지구라는 땅에 인력에서 끌어붙어진 힘에 있어
In this area called Earth, because of the gravity, we are stuck here. So because of that, we have up and down, and we can stand up and sit. But in a place without gravity, there's no directions in the sense east, west, south, north, and there is also no up and down.
지금 우리가 이 좌표를 잡고 있으니까 나라는 현상을 갖다가 우리가 보는
Because we have the direction. In terms of direction, it seems like we are seeing us, but in reality, there is also no us.
이렇게 이제 관해져야 돼. 이렇게 관찰이 되어져야
We have to be able to observe in this way. Only if we observe this way, the greediness is going to disappear. The sound of the greediness disappearing or dropping by, it will be just like a stone rolling down from the Himalayas, just like a landslide. And looking at it like that, is discriminating objects with wisdom. A yoga practitioner, when yoga practitioner realize that things don't exist in reality, ultimately in this world there's nothing that has eternity, and understanding that clearly, we call that the life without discrimination.
따라서 제법에는 본래 성품이 없다는 것을 또 알았습니다. 모든 존재 제법이라는 것은 모든 존재하는
So you can also know that there's no property in all the things that exist in this world.
라는 것을 갖다가 우리가 알아야 된다.
Knowing that there is no eternity, we have to keep that in mind, and we can also know that.
대상이 아무것도 없어. 거품처럼 왔다.
So there is no object that we need to have our obsession. It's just something that it's going to come like a bubble and going to disappear like a bubble.